We're here on an initial permanency hearing. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram is with us representing the children. Mr. Taylor is with us representing the mother, Miss Neal, who is not in my waiting room. And Mr. Freeman, the father, is with us. Again, Mr. Barfield's not in the waiting room yet. We've got another hearing at 9:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'll watch for him in the waiting room. I have Mandy Kimball, Tamara Martinez, Jonathan, no, I'm sorry, he's for the next case. Danielle Smith. No, she just disappeared. Ms. Gutierrez, who's your witness?
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Tamara Martinez is my witness for this case. Ms. Kimball and Ms. Smith are both for the 10 a.m. case.
Okay, all right. All right, this case was set for 9 o'clock. It's now 9:05. We'll proceed in the mother, Miss Neal's absence. And again, I'll watch for Mr. Barfield. Haley is not with us today, so I don't have anybody to try to track down Mr. Barfield. So, all right, Ms. Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may ask my investigator, Chase Ralston, if he could just give Mr. Barfield's office a quick call, I would really appreciate it.
Okay.
Chase, do you mind trying to give Brooks' office a call real quick?
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, and the department calls Tamara Martinez as its witness. Your Honor. Tamara, who do you work for?
St. Francis Ministries.
And what do you do for them?
I am a permanency specialist.
You filed a court report on July 1st of 2024 regarding this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, we ask that the court take judicial notice of that court report.
All right, so notice I have read the report, so we won't have to go over everything that was in the report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Martinez, are there any updates on Jackson since the filing of the report?
No, he continues to do well in his placement.
Are there any updates regarding Hazel since the filing of the court report?
No, she continues to do well also.
Okay, and they both continue in a relative placement, is that correct?
Yes, they do.
And to your knowledge, has placement indicated if they would be willing to care for the children long-term if reunification with a parent cannot happen?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Now, regarding Miss Neal, how is she doing on her services?
I do not currently know where Miss Neal is. We lost contact with her a couple of months, probably a couple months ago.
Okay, and the court report reflects that you last found her in Randall County Jail in May, is that correct?
Yes.
And what attempts have you made since then to find her again?
I've asked Richard if he's known where she was at. I've asked placement. I've checked the jails. I've checked her Facebook.
Okay. And regarding the father, are there any updates on Richard?
Richard, since I filed the court report, did complete his counseling sessions at Jennings.
Okay. And are there any recommended services that need to be requested for Miss Neal?
No.
Are there any recommended services that need to be requested for Mr. Freeman?
No.
Okay. And in your court report, you indicated at the end that you recommended, or rather an outpatient substance abuse treatment was recommended for Mr. Freeman. Is that correct?
Looking at my report. Because Mr. Freeman completed Synacor and then he's provided negative drug screens.
Okay, so at the end of the court report, your request for outpatient substance abuse treatment, you no longer need that. Is that correct?
No, we'll still go ahead and request that.
Okay, and is that to help Mr. Freeman maintain his sobriety?
Yes.
And does St. Francis also recognize in requesting that staying sober can be a very big struggle for parents?
Yes.
Now, what is the condition of Mr. Freeman's home?
He's done really well at keeping it clean. When I first entered the home when Kayla was still there, it was very cluttered and messy, and he's managed to keep it clean and organized.
Okay. And prior to Kayla's disappearance again, after you found her in jail, was she sometimes staying with Richard?
My understanding is that she stayed there one time after the day she got released or the day after she got released, but it's not been reported to me that she's been staying there since.
Okay. Was there anybody with her when she was staying with Mr. Freeman?
I believe her boyfriend was with her.
Okay. And did we make any recommendations to Mr. Freeman regarding Miss Neal's presence in his home?
We've just discussed that with her not doing services and the concerns that we have that she's possibly still using just for him to stay away from her and work on himself and continue doing well.
Okay. Now, Ms. Martinez, it sounds like Mr. Freeman is doing well with his services and the condition of the home is improving. What concerns does the department still have that prohibits, in your opinion, reunification with Mr. Freeman?
The concerns is, we want to monitor that he continues to be sober, that Miss Neal will continue to try to come over to the home if the kids are there. And Mr. Freeman, I know we are still trying to work on getting him into a life skills class. I believe placement is helping him manage his financial stuff. Not that they're paying for anything, just that they're helping him budget and ensure everything's taken care of.
Okay, and that life skills class is something that the department added to the service plan to help Mr. Freeman learn how to manage his life and be able to take care of the children once they're returned. Is that correct?
That is correct. Can I elaborate on that?
Yes.
We've been trying to get Mr. Freeman, I will say we're trying to get Mr. Freeman set up with that life skills class. The struggle that we are having is he does not currently have a ID. And the life skills class that we found at the library requires that he have an ID and a bill in his name. And so we are working with him he is working on getting his ID, and then we are going to work with him on getting into that life skills class.
Okay. What steps have we taken to help him get his ID?
In regards to his ID placement, it's been helping him get the paperwork and stuff. I was going to help him get into the life skills class because the bills at his residence are in placement's name. And so I've talked with placement and they were willing to write a letter confirming that Mr. Freeman was residing at that residence so that we could get him into that class once he has his ID.
Okay, and for clarification, the letter confirming his residency, that's going to help him get his ID?
No, that's going to help him get into the life skills class.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. And what major concerns regarding Miss Neal remain that prevent reunification with the children?
The concerns with her is we don't know where she's living. We don't know if she's able to provide them with a safe environment due to not being able to get in touch with her and get her to drug screen. We do not know if she's still using or not.
How is visitation going for Mr. Freeman and the children?
They're going good.
Is he able to see the children in person?
Yes, and I don't know, I will add, I'm not sure if it's updated in my court report. We just recently increased Mr. Freeman's visitation. He's doing 3 hours on Thursday nights at placement's house. He does have the option to do a full 6 hours a week. Placement was not able to commit to a full 6 hours, but that option is there for if the kids have an event or if they have something open, then Mr. Freeman can go over there for an additional 3 hours.
Okay, and regarding Ms. Neal, are there any updates on Ms. Neal's visitation?
She is not currently she has not attended visitation in several months, so she's not currently getting visitation.
And okay. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Taylor. You're muted.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
All right. Mr. Ralston, were you able to get a hold of Mr. Barfield?
Judge, I got a hold of his secretary. He was in a plea, doing a plea at the time when I called, and she said that she didn't have any notice or knew anything about this hearing, so she was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, okay, thanks. All right, Mr. Freeman, you heard that about your lawyer. Do you have any questions for Ms. Martinez today? And you're muted too.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right then, Ms. Gutierrez, do you have any other witnesses?
I have one more question for Ms. Martinez and then some requests for the findings by the court.
Okay.
Ms. Martinez, Are we asking for drug screens to be ordered today for both the mother and the father?
Yes.
Okay, are we asking for UAs or hair follicles? Can you please specify for each parent?
UAs and hair follicles.
On both parents?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, the department rests. We do ask for findings that reasonable efforts are being made to reunify the family, which is the primary goal for the children, and communicating with parents, attempt to locate Ms. Neal, engaging the father with services, and facilitating visitation when possible. Additionally, we ask for reasonable efforts for the concurrent goal of victim-kin adoption and placing the children with family that is willing to care for them long-term.
All right, I will make those findings. Ms. Martinez, I can just ask you, Mr. Freeman, I heard testimony about you not having an ID. Do you have a driver's license?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you not that it's any concern of mine, but do you have transportation to get your drug screen?
Yes, sir. I can find a way up there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And Ms. Martinez, all I show is it's a relative placement. Who is the relative?
They're the aunt and uncle to Kayla. It's Amy and
I mean, I don't need names. It's a maternal aunt and uncle.
yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Freeman, do you get along with the aunt and uncle that are placement?
Yes, sir.
No issues when you go to visit. From reading the report, it sounds like you're going to be visiting at their house. That's not going to be any issue?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Ms. Martinez, I forgot to ask you, do you believe it would be contrary to the welfare of the children to be returned to either parent today?
Yes.
Would you think it would be a continuing danger to their safety, health and safety to be returned to either parent today?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Freeman's making good progress though. And but I noticed that his last positive drug screen was in March. So we don't have a kind of the benchmark. We don't have 6 months of sobriety yet, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, then. Mr. Taylor, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Ingram?
No witnesses.
All right. Mr. Freeman, is there anything else you need to tell me today, or do you want to testify?
No, sir.
Okay. Sounds like things are going well. Just keep up the good work. So,
Thank you, sir.
okay. Mr. Ingram, recommendations.
Continue department as temporary managing conservator. Continue placement as is. Both children doing well with the aunt and uncle.
Okay. All right. Then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator. Continue the children's current placements. I'll order the parents to UA and hair strand by 4 p.m. today. I don't know if I'm looking back. I don't think I previously ordered it, but I will order that Ms. Neal's visitation be suspended until she provides the department with a negative UA and hair strand drug screen. All right, that will conclude this hearing. For those of you involved, I'll be back. Ms. Lucero, I brought you in. I've called the Oyerbides case. I didn't see you having anything anytime soon. Are you covering for somebody?
Yes, sir. I'm covering for Kendra Naranjo.
Okay. All right. All right. So then, Ms. Lucero is with us for the father, Mr. Flores, who is also with us. That only leaves Mr. Michelson. Again.
Excuse me, sir. Say something. Oh,
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I don't know how this works exactly, but I've been trying to get in contact with him. I went by his office. I don't know where he's at, but I do need to speak to somebody in a breakout room at some point. If that's okay.
Sure. If we can find him. Mr. Ralston, I hate to call on you again, but Haley's in the middle of moving today, so I don't have anybody here to.
And is there any way to go about getting a different attorney? I know it's really late in the case, but I have had no communication whatsoever at all. I've tried everything.
Why don't you discuss it with him if he's agreeable? He can file a motion, and then I'll substitute another attorney for you. If he's not agreeable, you can call my office, let me know. We'll set it for a hearing. If he's not communicating with you, you have the right to ask that I consider appointing you another attorney.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's going to have to happen. Yes, sir.
I'll see what I can do, Judge.
Okay, thank you. We'll give it just a minute and see if Mr. Ralston can locate Mr. Michelson.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, he was logged in on the wrong date. He's logging in this one right now.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead when he comes in. I'm going to put him and Ms. Oyerbides in a breakout room and see what we need. All right, Mr. Michelson has joined us.
Your Honor, may I speak with Brandy for just a minute?
Yeah, she's asked for breakout room. She's telling the court that she's had a hard time getting a hold of you. So I'm going to put you on a breakout room. Y'all can discuss that. She's asked for another attorney.
That's fine. I've tried to call her several times.
Y'all go in a breakout room and talk about it. And
Okay, that's fine.
We can continue this today. Ms. Wiggins said we've got a short docket next Monday, so we can always continue this today. Also, Ms. Lucero's covering for Mr. Naranjo, so Mr. Flores does not have his true lawyer here either. So I'm going to put you on a breakout room.
Great. Thank you.
Wiggins,
Yes, Judge.
our last case next Monday is motion to participate courtier. Is that yours or Teresa's?
Yes, it's an order to participate. Yeah.
How long do you think that'll take?
An hour.
Okay, so if we need, we can reset this for 11:30.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, looks like y'all are back.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Brandy would like me to continue. However, she would like a continuance. There's some information she would like to convey to me, but it's a little more complicated than spending a few minutes.
Okay, well, we're running out of time today anyway, so I will grant the motion for continuance, and I will, we're going to reset this case for next Monday, July 22nd at 11:30 a.m.
And Judge, is it, can we ask for drug screens today?
Sure.
Hair and UA on both parents, please.
Yeah. Okay.
We had a lab mix up. Mr. Flores did go and give, I believe, armpit hair, since his hair on his head was too short. However, that came back as an error. And so we are requesting just a new test, just so he knows why.
All right. Okay. All right. Then, as I said, I'm granting the motion, Ms. Boyer-Bide's motion for continuance. We will stand in recess until next Monday, July 22nd at 11:30 a.m. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two before next Monday to see what time we'll have that. Well, we've got a hearing date, so we'll see y'all back at 11:30 next Monday. We're here on a for those of you involved, I'll be back at 10 o'clock. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Mr. Ingram's with us representing the child. Ms. Kincaid is with us representing the mother. Ms. Kimball, who is with us, and Ms. Grant is with us representing the father, Ms. David Belduis, who is not in the waiting room. Were you expecting him, Mr. Grant, Ms. Grant?
Your Honor, he was recently released from Randall County, and I do not have any current contact information for him, and he has not contacted my office. So I'm forced to request a continuance based on not knowing where my client is, Your Honor.
Well, I noticed he had not done any services before he went to jail. He had 4 months to start services before he went to jail and didn't do so.
That's correct.
And I'm seeing we had a motion to participate even prior to the filing of the removal, and I'm not showing he's seven plus hearings. He's never attended the hearing. So,
No, Judge.
Does anybody object to Ms. Grant's motion for continuance?
Yes, I object.
I understand you do, Ms. Kimball. I've got to hear it from the lawyers.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'm not hearing Ms. Kincaid respond. Ms. Kincaid, are you there?
Yes, I am. Does the department object to it?
I need my caseworker in, Your Honor, to ask, and it is Stephanie Corbett.
All right. Do you want me to put you in a breakout room with her?
No, Your Honor, I think we're okay to ask that quick question.
Okay.
Judge, this is Harry. I'll go ahead and weigh in. I do not believe the continuance is in Miranda's best interest. This case needs to be finalized, and she needs closure.
Okay.
Your Honor, while we wait for the department, I object based on the fact that Mr. Belduis has had ample time to begin services. He hasn't begun services. He hasn't had any visitations with the child due to his own actions and behavior. He's had plenty of time to demonstrate to the department in this court that he was willing to engage in those.
You cut out, ma'am.
Savannah, you're cutting out really bad. I got the first part of that, and then something went wrong.
Oh, I may have a bad. Okay, Judge, I may have a bad reception. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes, ma'am. I pretty much got why you object to the continuance.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Gutierrez, you just need to ask Ms. Corbett, or do you want to?
Yes, Your Honor. No, I can just ask her. Stephanie, do we have a position on Ms. Grant's request for a motion for continuance. Do
I'm
we
sorry,
object to that? Do we object to Ms. Grant's motion for continuance?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, we do object to that. I don't think I saw a written motion for continuance come in. Additionally, I believe she was appointed a few months back. If her client hasn't gotten in contact with her by now, or if she's been unable to locate him, I don't know what's going to be different between now and a continuance, Your Honor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know we got until October for a dismissal date, but I don't see that Mr. Beluise has done anything for the court to consider a continuance. So I'm going to deny that motion, Ms. Grant. I know it's not due to anything you've done. But.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, then. I have Danielle Smith, Dusty Johnson, Kristen Davis, and Elaine Lucero in the waiting room.
Your Honor, Kristen Davis is a supervisor in the case. If she could please be allowed in, and Officer Johnson is going to be my first witness.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. You may proceed.
Thank
Your
you,
Honor, I'm not sure who all is in who may be a witness or may be questioned, and the father would invoke the rule.
Okay, do we have anybody in? Ms. Gutierrez, I assume that Ms. Corbett's your designated.
Yes, Your Honor. I also plan to call Mandy Kimball, but she's a party to the case. I think other than Officer Johnson, there are no other potential witnesses currently here in the Zoom call with us that I plan to call that are not parties.
Okay, I will invoke the rule, but I don't think we have anybody in right now that needs to be put back in the waiting room.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Gutierrez.
Thank you, Your Honor. The department did I already call Dusty Johnson as my witness? Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Johnson, who do you work for?
The Amarillo Police Department.
And what do you do for them?
I'm a patrol officer, so I patrol the streets and answer calls.
And how long have you worked for APD?
16 years.
And as those 16 years, have you been a certified police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
And what special education and training did that require?
You're going through the academy for the 9 months, and then on street training for another 3 months, and then all the extra training through the police departments they require.
And were you working as a patrol officer on January 18th of 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you respond to a call on Tekla Boulevard?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the nature of that call?
It came in as a suspicious call.
Okay. And did you first make contact with a Sandy Ray Hall?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, without telling me what she said, did you next make contact with a Jean Marie Belez?
Yes, ma'am.
What was Miss Belez's appearance?
She was very fearful, holding back tears, scared.
Okay. Would you characterize her as emotional?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you also characterize her as under the emotions of some domestic violence incidents?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did she describe had occurred?
That her boyfriend David and her got into another argument at the house, that he was acting real weird, talking about the FBI and cartel and just squeezing her real tight around the waist and pushing her around the room.
Okay. And what did Miss Bella say, if anything, about any death threats?
She said that he threatened her throat and that he would beat her ass and gladly go back to prison.
Okay. And did she indicate that he took her keys and stole her vehicle?
Yes, that he jerked the keys out of her hands and said he would take her to work that morning.
Okay. Now, going back to the statements that David said, I'm sorry, who did she identify her boyfriend as?
David Lee, I don't know how to say the last name, Veldhouse, if I'm correct.
Okay. And what statements did he make about the cartel? Do you recall?
I never actually talked to him, just going by what Gene told me, that he needed to turn in the cartel, that they keep following him, and he wanted to talk to the police and the FBI about him.
Let's see here. Pass the witness.
Okay. You're muted, Ms. Kincaid.
Oh, no questions, Your Honor. I didn't know you called me.
Okay. Ms. Grant.
Officer, were any arrests made that night?
Corporal Gaddis actually went to David's mom's house and arrested him on some warrants and for the terroristic threats towards Gene.
Okay. And was that the same day?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. No other questions, Judge.
Mr. Stringer?
No questions.
All right. Anything further of Officer Johnson?
One more question, Your Honor.
Okay.
Now, Officer Johnson, did Ms. Velez also indicate that David had physically assaulted her the week before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No further questions for this witness, Your Honor. If nobody objects, we do ask that he be released.
All right.
No
Anybody else
objection.
have any
No
questions?
objection.
All right, then. Officer Johnson, I'll release you so you can go about your day's business. Thank you for your testimony and thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. The department next calls Elaine Lucero as its witness.
Okay.
Can you please explain what a family-based safety services worker is?
Any cases that the department receives that are investigated, if they believe the family could use possible extended services, then the case is transferred on to us.
And is that a program that is a non-legal intervention but help for the family?
Yes, ma'am.
And as a worker, did you typically attempt to connect parents in those family-based safety services case with services?
Yes, ma'am.
And can some of those services include mental health and drug rehabilitation?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Now, back in 2023, did you have a family-based safety services that involved a David Velhuse?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And was he residing in the home with a Jean Marie Belez?
Yes, that's correct.
And was your contact, did that family-based safety services with Jean Marie and David begin before the removal of David's child, Miranda?
Yes.
And what attempts did you make to engage David Velhuse in services?
We made multiple attempts every time we went out to the home to visit with Jean Marie. In the residence, he was there. He just refused to come out of the room. I'd spoke with her on multiple occasions about him also getting involved in services as, you know, he was living in the residence, and there was just we never really got a response from him. There's only one time I actually met face to face with him.
Now, the services that you were attempting to offer David Velhuse, did they also address mental health?
Yes.
And did they also address substance abuse?
Yes, ma'am. And
did you actually meet him face to face on November 9th of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
How did he appear that day?
He appeared to be under the influence while we were in the residence. He was very just erratic. He was yelling, saying he was going to sue the department, he was going to sue the court, and he was going to sue the government. And it was just, we weren't able to even have a conversation with him due to his behaviors.
And this November 9th face-to-face meeting with Mr. Velhuse, that occurred after the removal of his daughter, Miranda. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during that family-based safety services case, was he requested multiple times to drug screen?
Yes.
And was he in fact court-ordered in one of Jean Marie Belez's family cases to drug screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he complete any of those?
No, ma'am, he did not.
Okay. In addition to declining services, did he make any sort of concerning statements? Let me withdraw that question and rephrase, Your Honor. Was there anything there additionally in that encounter that gave you cause for concern of his mental health?
Just the yelling and the erratic behavior.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Ms. Kincaid?
No questions, Your Honor. Or one question quickly. Was Miss Kimball asked to work services under the family-based safety services?
I don't believe I ever had direct contact with her. That was a completely different case.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Grant?
Ma'am, were you notified of any diagnosed mental illnesses by Mr. Velhuse?
No, ma'am.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Ingram?
No questions.
All right. Any follow-ups for Ms. Lucero?
Yes, Your Honor. For clarification, Elaine, when the family base with Jean Marie and David started, was Miranda living in the home with David Velhuse?
At the beginning of the case, yes, ma'am.
And is it your understanding that he was her primary caretaker?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. No further questions for this witness, Your Honor. If nobody objects, we ask that she be released.
Anybody have other questions?
No objection.
All right. Ms. Lucero, thank you for your testimony. I'll release you so you can go about your afternoon's business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The department next calls Danielle Smith as its witness.
Okay.
And at the time that you started the investigation, was Miranda residing with David Velhuse?
Yes, she was.
Okay. Can you please tell us what the allegations in that July 30th, 2023 intake were?
We received our first intake on July 20th, and then we received a second one on July 31st. Do you want the information for both of them?
I want only the information for July 20th, 2020.
Okay.
And then I'll ask about the next one.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because we put them all together. On the 20th, we received a report regarding the neglectful supervision of Miranda by her father and his then girlfriend, Jean Marie Belize. It was reported that Jean Marie was working extended hours and wouldn't get home till after 8:30 at night. During that time, Miranda would be at home alone with her father, and he was not providing her basic needs to her while in that home.
And then subsequent to that, or rather, can you expand on which basic needs Miranda was not being provided with?
It was in the report that he was not providing her with food. He would not provide her with any kind of stability in the home. He was sleeping all day. She was not able to wake him up at times. During that report we received, it also stated that she had been scared. She couldn't wake her father up, and she spent 3 hours on the phone with her mother that day.
So let's go to the second report on July 31st of 2023. What was the intake allegation in that report?
That report came in with the allegation of drug use in the home. It was reported that Mr. Veldwe and Miss Belize were using methamphetamines in the home, and they would become violent and crazy when they were coming down off of those drugs. There was also in that report that they were using drugs in the home and locking themselves in the bedroom to do so. That report also stated that Miss Belize had pending charges from an incident where she ran over Mr. Veldwe with her car.
Now, while you worked the investigation, was there a temporary order in Ms. Bellis's family law case that ordered both her and David Veldhuis to drug screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Miss Kimball is speaking to someone, and I was just wondering who it is since the rule has been invoked.
Ms. Kimball, who are you talking to there? You're muted.
My Aunt Janet.
Okay. She's not going to be a witness, is she?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm sorry, Danielle, can you re-answer my last question?
Yes, they were court-ordered to drug screen.
Okay. Your Honor, we offer petitioner's exhibit, let me see which one, number 2 amended.
That's the temporary orders in Ms. Bellis's case?
Yes, Your Honor, it's the amended temporary orders ordering David Veldhuis to drug screen.
Okay. Any objections?
No objection.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Petitioner's exhibit 2 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Danielle, is it correct that he did not follow that order?
Correct.
Okay. Now, in your investigation, did you make contact with Ms. Bellis and Mr. Veldhuis on August 3rd of 2023?
Yes, I did.
And how did Mr. Veldhuis respond to the intake allegations?
He became very agitated while I was in the home and speaking with him. He kept coming in and leaving the home. He kept denying there were any problems in the home. He would get angrier and angrier the longer I stayed in the home. He accused me of spying on him multiple times. He stated that I had no right to investigate him. He was very combative with me the whole time I was in the home.
And part of that conversation, did you address the allegation that Jean Marie Bellis had hit him with a car?
Yes.
And let's hear. And later in August, did Miss Jean Marie actually plead guilty and be put on deferred adjudication for that criminal case?
Yes, she did.
Your Honor, we offer petitioner's exhibit number 3, the indictment against Jean Marie Bellis for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, indicating that David Veldhuis was the victim.
Objections?
No objection.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Petitioner's 3 submitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. We next offer petitioner's exhibit number 4, the order of deferred adjudication from August 17th of 2023 in that same criminal case against Jean Marie Bellis.
All right. Objections?
No objection.
And I also note for the court that the judgment was for the lesser included offense of assault causes bodily injury, family violence.
All right. No objections, then petitioner's 4 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Danielle, The way you described David Veldhue's appearance at that meeting, what conclusion did you draw?
While speaking with him, it seemed like he was either not sleeping well and suffering from being tired, or it appeared like he might have been on some kind of substance while I was in the home. I could not tell for sure.
And did that cause you alarm for the safety of Miranda?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
Now, did you also have an opportunity? Let's see here, just a moment. Did you ask Mr. Veldhues to drug screen in that conversation?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did he do that?
No, he did not.
And did you next speak with Mandy Kimball on August 14th of 2023?
Yes, I did.
And what concerns did she indicate about her daughter being with David?
She was scared that while in his care, she was not getting the proper care that she needed. They've had to take food over to her. She reported to me that she did take food to Miranda. She also stated that Mr. Veldhue was not following their custody agreement, and she had not seen Miranda during her normal visitation time.
Now, did Ms. Kimball also indicate that there was a temporary order for David Veldhues to drug screen when he was requested?
Yes.
And if Miranda, I apologize, let me rephrase. If Mandy Kimball indicated she had requested David to complete a drug screen and he didn't, would that mean he was in violation of that order as well?
Objection. Calls for a legal opinion.
Sustained.
I'll go back. Now, Danielle, to your knowledge, there's a temporary order on a family law case with Miranda. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that temporary order gives Mandy Kimball and David Veldhues permission to request drug screens. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And did Mandy indicate she had made that request to David?
Yes, she did.
Did she also indicate that he did not complete the drug screens?
Yes, she did.
Thank you, Danielle. Your Honor, we next offered petitioner's exhibit number 1, a temporary orders and suit to modify the parent-child relationship. It's under this cause number, Your Honor.
This is the temporary order that she testified he was ordered to drug screen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Objections?
No objection.
Okay. Petitioner's one is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Danielle, did Ms. Kimball specifically indicate that she was concerned that Miranda was hungry on multiple occasions?
Yes.
And what did she state about Miranda not being able to wake her father up?
She stated at one point Miranda had called her because she was having a hard time getting her father to wake up. Miranda was scared. She didn't know why he was sleeping so much. She stated to me that Miranda would call her crying at times when she could not get Mr. Veldhue to wake up.
Now, regarding Mandy Kimball's own history, what did she state about her own history?
She stated that she knew that she had history with both criminal and with CPS. She was very honest with me about everything, and that she had gone to prison. And when she was released, she started working the services needed to ensure that she could see Miranda.
And did she comply with the department's request to drug screen during the investigation?
Yes, she did.
And was that drug screen clean or negative for all illicit substances?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Now, on September 1st of 2023, did you accompany family-based safety services for a home visit to Ms. Velez and David Veldhues?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And was Mr. Veldhues present that day?
He was present when we first arrived. He left.
Okay. Did he say anything before leaving?
He stated to us that the case was just on Jean Marie and he did not have anything to do with it, and that even though he'd been drug screened or ordered to drug screen, he didn't have to comply, and then he left.
And then on September 7th, 2023, did you receive a call from Mandy Kimball?
Yes, I did.
Could you please tell us in detail what she stated?
When I received that call, it was reported to me that over the weekend, Mr. Veldhue and Miranda had been kicked out of Jean Marie Belize's home. They found them walking in the middle of the night. They took them back to the house that Miss Kimball was living in with her father. By the end of the weekend, he had gone back to living with Jean Marie and took Miranda with him. It was reported that at that point, he'd still not drug screened for Miss Kimball.
Okay, and then on September 21st, 2023, what occurred regarding David Veldhuis?
I received an email from Miss Kimball, and I also received a phone call from the grandfather of Miranda stating that Mr. Veldhuis had not allowed Miranda to attend her own birthday party.
And in addition to that, did he not show up to pick up Miranda from school?
That is correct. He actually forgot to pick her up from school, and they had to call somebody to come get her.
And did that also happen on September 22nd of 2023?
Yes, it did.
And did that happen again on October 2nd of 2023?
Yes, it did.
And based on everything you've testified about, did the department pursue an order to participate to help force Mr. Veldhuis to work services?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
And were we attempting to mitigate the risk and harm to Miranda?
Yes, ma'am.
However, that petition for an order to participate was denied. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall why?
At that point, while in court, the department was court-ordered to do a removal affidavit and to bring Miranda into care.
And was that due to the severity of issues presented by Mr. Veldhuis?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, regarding the department's reasonable efforts to avoid removal, is it correct that the department offered both mental health and substance abuse services through the family-based safety services case with him and Ms. Velez?
Yes, ma'am.
And during your own work on this investigation, did you also try to have him drug screened to rule out that drug use was a threat to the child?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you make multiple attempts to engage him?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And was Mr. Veldhuis not cooperative?
He would not talk to the department at all.
Now, when you have a parent that is the caretaker of the child, and for clarification, Miranda was living with Mr. Veldhuis until the legal removal of the child. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you have a parent taking care of the child that is not cooperative, does it rule out any possibility for a case to be worked through family-based safety services?
Yes, ma'am.
Does it also rule out the possibility of a parent-child safety placement to remove the child from the harm without legal intervention?
Yes, ma'am.
And would a emergency order removing him from the home have satisfied or created safety for the child?
No, it would not.
And can you tell us why?
There in the home that he was living in, there was already a protective order in place saying that Mr. Veldhuis and Miss Belize could not be around each other, and they continued to violate that order by living in the same home together. So removing Mr. Veldhuis from the home would not have mitigated the concerns in that home.
And additionally, did the department have its own concerns regarding Jean Marie Velez?
Yes, ma'am.
And removing David Veldhuis from the home would have left the child with Jean Marie. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, was it your understanding from Mandy Kimball that she had attempted a couple of times to legally gain custody of Miranda?
Yes, ma'am.
And that those attempts had failed?
Yes, ma'am.
And did the department have no choice but to remove the child to ensure her safety?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe that at the time of removal, there was imminent danger of physical harm for Miranda?
Yes, ma'am.
And there was also more than likely a parent using drugs in the home, which is David Veldhuis.
Objection,
Yes,
call for speculation. No drug screens were provided.
Sustained.
Danielle, at the time of the removal, what were your main concerns with David Veldhuis as a caretaker for Miranda?
There was concerns that there was possible drug use in the home, and we have not been able to rule out that drug use since he had not drug screened for the department. There was concerns for the physical well-being of Miranda in the home as her needs were not being met by Mr. Veldhuis. And there was concern about him not addressing the mental health issues in the home with himself.
Pass the witness.
Right. Ms. Smith, when you were talking to Ms. Kimball about these times when Miranda would call her crying because she couldn't wake her father up, with the one you testified to about, or that Ms. Kimball told you about a 3-hour phone call with Miranda, did she indicate to you that during that 3 hours time, father never woke up?
There was some indication that he was groggy when he woke up for just a little bit. When Miss Belize got home, they took the phone away from Miranda.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, Ms. Kincaid, questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Grant?
Danielle, did Miss Kimball ever indicate to you that during any of these phone calls, she called the police to go check on the child?
I do not recall if that was ever brought up in the conversations.
Specifically as to the 3-hour phone call, did she ever call the police during the 3 hours that she was talking to the child and she was unable to rouse the father?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And during, did she ever report to CPS the issues that you're aware of? Did she ever indicate that to you?
It came in as
Your
part
Honor,
of the
I'm going to
original
object.
intake.
Your Honor, I object. It is confidential who called in intakes. So in the event that Ms. Kimball did call in an intake to CPS, Your Honor, that would be confidential.
Okay, sustain. I'm going to ignore what the question and the reported answer.
Thank you, Judge. And Danielle, during your investigation, did you ever identify any mental health diagnoses for Mr. Velhuis?
No, I did not.
Did you ever ask the question or request any records in that regard?
I could not request any records. Mr. Velhui refused to sign anything for the department, and he would not answer my questions.
So you did inquire?
I tried, yes.
Okay. And did you ever have any conversations with him regarding any medications he might be taking that were prescribed by any physician?
He did not indicate any medications during my first interview with him.
Did you observe any illegal substances in the home during the time you were in the home?
I was not allowed to walk through the whole home the first time I was in the home. Mr. Velhui refused.
Okay. Objection, non-responsive. My question is, did you see anything where you were able to observe?
No, I did not. I apologize. I misunderstood.
That's okay. That's okay. Did you see any signs of alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did any other person report to you any mental health diagnoses for Mr. Velhuis?
There was concerns reported, but no one knew of a mental health issue report to me.
And no one knew of any medications to report to you as well?
Correct.
Okay. And do you have any indication that the child was on any medications at the time of your investigation?
Miranda did not report any medications to me.
Did Ms. Kimball report any medications being taken by the child?
Not at that time, no.
Okay. And is the child currently on any medication? Well, disregard. I'll withdraw the question. Pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
Any follow-ups from Ms. Smith?
Yes, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Smith, was David Velthus prevented, or rather, what happened in regards to David Velthus' visitation with Miranda?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Okay. We'll strike that question, Your Honor.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. No further questions for this witness.
Anyone else? All right, then can Ms. Smith be excused?
Yes.
No objection.
Oh, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I do have a list of additional questions. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Danielle, as far as reasonable efforts to reunify the family following removal, is it correct that the department placed Miranda with her mother, Mandy Kimball?
Yes.
And is it correct that we attempted to drug screen the parents?
Yes.
All right. Pass the witness.
Anyone else? All right, now can Ms. Smith be excused? All right, then nobody's objecting. So Ms. Smith, thank you for your testimony. I'll remove you so you can go about your afternoon's business.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The department next calls Stephanie Corbett as its witness. Okay. Now at the beginning of the case, when did you first start working in it?
Since the beginning.
Okay.
October 2023.
And during that first month, did you attempt to meet with David Velthus?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell me whether or not that happened?
No, I did not.
Can you explain what happened following that?
Called and I spoke with him on the phone. I scheduled a meeting. I went over there. No one answered the door. There was no cars or anything. He did call me later that day asking to reschedule. I did reschedule it and attempt a second time, and he was still not home.
Okay. And did you create family plans of service for this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And were those family plans of service the department's reasonable effort to reunify the family?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they aim to mitigate the reasons for removal?
Yes, ma'am.
And were they uniquely tailored for each parent?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please identify 2 or 3 services that were uniquely tailored for David Velthus and how?
For David, I had rational behavior therapy that was to help with negative thoughts, actions, irrational, unhealthy thoughts or emotions. I had parenting that was to mitigate the reason for removal, and anger management due to the previous history of violence.
And was a substance abuse assessment also ordered?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that to address the suspicion of drug use?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what attempts did you make to have Mr. Veldhuis review and sign the plan?
I attempted to try to locate him 3 times a month. I even tried to review it with him while he was incarcerated. He refused to hear the plan of service.
Okay. Now, if you'll take a look at Exhibit 5, please, that is the status hearing order.
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, we next offer petitioner's Exhibit number 5, a certified copy of the status hearing order.
Objections?
No objection.
All right, petitioner's 5 submitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Corbett, if you'll please go through each service for David Veldhuis and indicate whether or not it was completed. And do you have the status hearing order in front of you, Ms. Corbett?
Yes, ma'am. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Did I call you the wrong name? Is that what happened?
No, I have Exhibit 5. I was just trying to scroll down.
Oh, okay.
You wanted to hit. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Can you repeat your question?
If you'll please scroll down to David Veldhuis service plan attached to the status hearing order. Okay. If you'll please describe very briefly each service and state whether or not it was completed.
See, he was to locate and maintain stable and appropriate employment and provide stable source of legal income, adequate enough to support himself and his child for at least 6 months. He did not complete that. As far as I know, he's not been employed through the whole case. He was to maintain regular contact with me regarding his participation in his services. He has not maintained regular contact with me. I have not spoke to him since he was released from jail. He was to locate and maintain stable housing with working utilities free from drugs and violence. He was living with Jean
Objection
Marie.
becomes a narrative and objection non-responsive. The question was, what are the services in a brief description, not the results of services.
Well, she's already been testifying to that, and I'm going to let her testify to it to shorten the length of the trial because I need to know what he did and did not do. So
Thank you,
overrule.
Judge.
He did have a house that he was staying in with Jean Marie in the beginning. I was not able to view the home to see if it had working utilities or anything. And then he was incarcerated. He was supposed to notify me with 5 days, any changes of residence, phone number, or employment. He was not contacting me. He was to participate in and complete an OSAR. He did not complete. It says he will maintain a drug-free lifestyle. He never did. I could never send him because I could never get a hold of him.
Ms. Corbett, let me ask a couple of clarifying questions. You mentioned an OSAR. Is that a substance abuse assessment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then you mentioned, I believe, drug screening after that. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you clarify what you mean by you wanted to send him or attempted to send him but couldn't find him?
So I attempted to try to locate him or go by his and Jean Marie's house at least 3 times a month, but no one ever answered the door. He would never answer my phone calls. He wouldn't answer my text. So I was never able to actually speak to him to tell him to go drug screen for me.
Now, were there drug screens that were court ordered for him?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please identify when and what those were?
I have tried to send him for hair and a urine.
Ms. Corbett, I believe, do you have a list of court-ordered drug screens?
Is it on this exhibit?
No, Ms. Corbett, just a moment. Your Honor, if I could have just a minute, please.
Sure. I can tell you one was on October 9th of 2023.
Okay.
And Judge, I would object to the witness being led to the information.
Overrule.
if she doesn't know, she doesn't know, but the court record could stand for itself.
Your Honor, at this time, I ask that the court take judicial notice of the drug screening ordered for David Veldhuis and the temporary order following full adversary hearing.
So noted.
I also ask that the court take judicial notice that it created a no contact order for David with the child Miranda.
So noted.
I next ask the court to take judicial notice of the status hearing order.
So noted.
And I ask the court to note that it also ordered drug screening for David Veldhuis.
So noted.
And it also contains an order for David Veldhuis not to visit Miranda's school.
So noted.
I next ask the court to take notice of the initial permanency hearing before final order.
Okay, so noted.
And I ask the court to note that it also orders no contact for David with both Mandy and both the mother Mandy and the child Miranda.
So noted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Stephanie, if you'll please continue with your brief description of the services ordered and indicating whether or not they were completed.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. He was asked to complete 2 12-step meetings a week with either AA or NA or Celebrate Recovery. He did not complete that. He was asked to participate in and complete a psychosocial evaluation with Jennings Counseling. He did not complete that. He was asked to attend individual counseling with Jennings Counseling. He did not attend. He was asked to actively participate in and complete anger management with Troy Timmons. He did not complete. He was asked to participate in and complete rational behavior therapy. He did not complete. He was asked to actively participate in and complete parenting classes. He did not complete. And that's all of the services.
Thank you, Ms. Corbett. Now, you mentioned your attempts to locate him and that you found him in jail at one point. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What jail did you find him in?
He was in Randall County
And about when did you find him there?
in January.
Do you have any knowledge of when he was released?
The end of June.
Now, while he was in jail, did you make attempts to see him there?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you make attempts to review his service plan with him?
Yes, ma'am.
How did he respond?
First time I tried to review, he told me he didn't want to look at it. We removed Miranda illegally. He was going to sue me and everybody else involved, and we would never work for the state of Texas again.
Okay. And overall, what was his demeanor like?
Very agitated.
And was that generally his response to each time you met with him while he was in jail?
Generally, yes.
And did you meet with him each month in jail from January to June?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you also attempting to engage him in his services each time you met with him?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Ms. Corbett, do you recall why visitation was not ordered for David Veldhuis?
Yes. No contact with Miranda, right? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, just his behaviors and him being irrational is why he was asked not to.
Were there also indications that he was violent?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were there any incidents where concerning the school and David Veldhuis?
Objection leading.
Sustained.
What incidents, if any, occurred regarding David Veldhuis and the school?
He went to Miranda's school in November of 2023 and tried to take her from school.
Okay. Now, is it correct would you agree that throughout the case, David Veldhuis declined any sort of mental health services from the department?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it correct that he also refused to engage in any sort of parenting related services from the department?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it correct that he refused to engage in any drug rehabilitation services through the department?
Yes, ma'am.
And with that, were there concerns for the child's safety?
Yes, ma'am.
And was David also indicted for assault, family violence, impeding breath?
Objection calls for hearsay unless that's part of the record reviewed.
Sustained at this point.
Your Honor, I offer petitioner's exhibit number 6. It is a certified copy of the indictment against David Lee Veldhuis for assault, family violence, and I ask the court to note that it identifies Jean Marie Balles as the victim.
All right. Objections?
No objection.
All right. Petitioner 6 is submitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Corbett, the permanency hearing order from March 25th of 2024 ordered no contact for David with the child or with the mom, Mandy. What was the reason for that?
Just him being violent, irrational, making threats, him going to the school, trying to take Miranda.
And in regards to reasonable efforts, would you agree that the main issues at removal were domestic violence, Mr. Veldhuis' mental health, and possible substance abuse by Mr. Veldhuis?
Yes, ma'am.
And what services did the department seek to be ordered regarding the domestic violence issue?
His domestic violence. So I had a rational behavior therapy and anger management.
And in regards to the mental health issue, what services did the department add to the service plan to address his mental health issues?
I had asked for him to complete a psychosocial.
And in regards to the substance abuse issue, what services did the department request to address the substance abuse issue?
I wanted him to complete the OSAR, which is, the substance abuse assessment, and he would drug screen, and he would complete any recommendations from the OSAR and 12-step meetings.
Now, as a reasonable effort to reunify the family, did we also place the child with her mother, Mandy Kimball?
Yes, ma'am.
And in additional reasonable efforts, did we attempt each month to locate David Veldhuis?
Yes, ma'am.
And in the months that we found him, did we see him in person?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the months that we were unsuccessful, can you please describe your efforts to find him during those months?
I would go by his house at Jean Marie, and the house he was staying in with Jean Marie, sorry. At least 3 times a month. I tried calling several times. I tried text messaging him, and I never got a response.
In addition, as a reasonable effort to reunify the family, is it correct that you made attempts to go over the service plan with him and engage him in services?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, are we asking the court today to name Mandy Kimball as a sole managing conservator of Miranda?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please explain why that's in the child's best interest?
For one, that is what Miranda had asked for, that she stay with her mom. Mandy has been caring for her this whole case. And with David not working in these services or anything, and we're not able to place back with him, it would be what would be in the best interest for Miranda.
And has the child also indicated that she wants to stay with her mom?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see here. And is it in Miranda's best interest that David Veldhuis' parental rights be terminated?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please explain why?
He has not worked any services. There's suspected drug use, the violence, him being incarcerated for domestic violence. That's why.
In addition to that, has he neglected Miranda's physical and emotional needs?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you believe he's capable of meeting Miranda's physical and emotional needs?
No, ma'am.
Do you believe he also presents a danger to the child's emotional health?
Yes.
Do you believe that at this time he lacks the parental abilities to take care of the child in a stable and nurturing way?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it the plan for the child to remain with her mother and to be raised in that home?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you, or rather, can you please describe Mandy's relationship with Miranda?
Mandy is her biological mother.
Right, but can you explain,
Oh, I'm sorry.
describe how they are together?
Yes, I'm sorry. Every month I've seen them. Miranda is just, I have seen her since the very beginning where she was first removed, was upset. She was having nightmares. And since being in Maddie's home, she's no longer having nightmares. She's getting to hang out with friends. She's always seen laughing. She's very close with Maddie. She goes to work with her, everything.
In addition to that, if David Hughes had been able to mitigate the reasons for removal or at least create a safe environment for the child, would we have encouraged the court to award visitation to him?
Yes, ma'am.
Pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Kincaid.
Thank you, Your Honor. Was Ms. Kimball also asked to work services?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, she was asked to maintain contact with you. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And has she maintained contact with you?
Yes, ma'am.
She was asked to maintain stable and appropriate employment. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And has she complied with that service?
Yes, she has.
She was asked to be responsible for Miranda's educational and developmental behavioral needs. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Has she done that?
Yes, ma'am.
Has she notified you if she has changed her residence or phone number?
Yes, she has.
Has she maintained stable housing throughout this case?
Yes, she has.
Has she completed an OSAR for the department?
No. There was no
Was
need. She never tested positive.
Okay. Has she always drug screened for the department when she was asked?
Yes, she has.
Okay. Has she allowed the child to have relationships with other family members and friends?
Yes, ma'am.
And has she allowed the department and CASA and any other court-ordered relationships to maintain contact with the child?
Yes. Yes, she has.
Okay. And she was asked to attend therapy. Did she complete that service?
Yes, she has.
Okay. And has she maintained her medical, dental, and any other needs that the child has had?
Yes, she has.
So she's completed all of her services.
That's correct.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Grant.
Ma'am, will the department be asking for any child support from Mr. Veldhuis?
Yes.
So you're asking for his rights to be terminated and for him to be ordered to pay child support?
Yes.
What child support are you requesting in the amount, if you know?
I do not know that.
Are you aware if he's employed?
I'm not aware.
Do you know of his whereabouts?
No, I have not spoke to him since he was incarcerated.
And has he previously been ordered to pay child support?
Not to my knowledge.
Are you asking that he provide medical care, medical insurance and coverages?
Yes, ma'am.
In what amount, if you know?
I do not know.
Is the child on Medicaid?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you requesting no contact?
Miranda did ask if she could write a letter or at least have a phone call. And I would believe that would be in the best interest of the child to at least allow her that.
And was that a request for one phone call, such as in a goodbye phone call, or is that a request for phone contact at the child's?
Miranda did not specify if she wanted one or multiple. She just asked to either write a letter or have a phone call.
Okay. So are you still requesting termination, or is it a potential for him to have possessory with no contact?
I would like termination.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
All right. Any follow-ups for Ms. Corbett?
Yes, Your Honor, I do. Ms. Corbett, you understand that typically when a parent is terminated, they are not ordered to pay any support. Is that correct?
I was not aware of that.
Okay, so if the court terminates the father's rights, then you understand now that would more than likely mean no support would be ordered regarding Miranda. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in regards to Miranda's potential contact with her father, would you agree that it would be best for Mandy Kimball to make the decision of when, if, and how appropriate it would be for any contact to occur between David and the child?
Yes, ma'am.
Pass the witness.
Anyone else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then, Ms. Gutierrez, any further witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. The department calls Mandy Kimball. Thank you,
All
Your
right,
Honor. Mandy, are you the mother of Miranda?
Yes, I am.
And are you here today? Sorry, Your Honor, I've tried to turn off these notifications and I can't figure out how. Sorry. Can you describe how you feel about your child, Miranda, Miss Kimball?
Yes, I can. I feel nothing but love, caring, and support for my daughter. I just want her to have a normal life, and I am capable of providing that for her.
And you've drug tested as it's been court ordered or as the department's requested, and those have been negative, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And you made previous attempts to gain legal custody of Miranda, but those were unsuccessful. Would you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
Okay. Are you able to recall, or rather, can you describe what was going on before Miranda was removed by the department that caused you concern?
Yes, I was concerned that David was under the influence. Nothing made sense that he would do for her or even came out of his mouth. She was underweight. I was feared. Miranda has even told me herself that he did not feed her. She was starving. He would manipulate her, and she's just been a sad little girl. She wasn't being provided for her basic needs and being neglected.
And are you committed and prepared to be that person for her?
I am fully prepared, and I'm committed my whole life to this, yes.
Do you believe it's in Miranda's best interest that David's parental rights to her be terminated?
Yes, I do agree to that. I believe it's in her best interest.
Can you explain why?
I believe it's in her best interest because he would manipulate her and he confuses her. He has never complied with, he's never honored any court order in the past. I feel that David has not complied or participated in this whole ordeal concerning Miranda. And I feel that he has had plenty of time to do so. And he's just trying to manipulate this whole entire situation.
Objection to anything after trying to manipulate. Judge calls for his mental state.
Sustained.
Now, Ms. Kimball, prior to the removal, there was a temporary order in place that you could request David Veldhuis to drug screen. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And did you request him to drug screen on more than one occasion?
Yes, I did.
And did he comply with that?
No, he did not.
Now, you understand if David's rights are terminated, more than likely there will be no support ordered by the court. Is that correct?
I'm fully aware of that.
And are you able to financially support Miranda without any potential support from David Veldhuis?
Yes, ma'am. I'm able and capable of supporting Miranda financially and emotionally.
And are you employed full-time?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have a family support system to help you raise your child?
Absolutely, I do.
And who are the main supports for you?
My Aunt Janet and my Uncle Fred Mills, my mother, my stepdad, everybody in my family is there for me, and Miranda.
What are your concerns, if any, with violence of David Veldhuis?
I have concerns that he has threatened to slit my throat. He's even expressed this to Miranda, that I'm going to slit your mother's throat.
Objection. That's a hearsay statement through the child, Judge.
Sustained. I'm sorry, overruled. That it's has to do with child abuse.
Go
ahead, Mr. Next question.
Okay.
Mandy, did you want to add to your answer to the previous question?
Fear of violence from David? That's what the question was?
Yes.
Yes, I do fear the violence from David with me and Miranda.
Pass the witness.
Ms. Kincaid?
Thank you, Your Honor. Have you had concerns that Mr. Veldhuis would abscond with the child?
Yes.
Have you had concerns that he would take her from the school?
Yes.
Have you had concerns? Do you believe that he's a danger to you and the child?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Ms. Grant?
Miss Kimball, what did you go to prison for?
Unauthorized use of a motor vehicle.
And how long were you incarcerated, ma'am?
15 months.
And do you have any current pending legal matters?
No, ma'am.
And do you currently have your own home or do you reside with your aunt and uncle?
No, I have my own home.
Okay. Did you hear the testimony regarding Miranda wanting to possibly write a letter to Mr. Veldhuis?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you, as her parent, if your name's still managing conservator, be willing to be the keeper of that letter until you find it necessary or appropriate to provide it to him?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you actually requesting any child support today, ma'am?
No, ma'am. I'm just requesting.
And are you
Go ahead.
actually requesting any reimbursement of medical expenses today?
No.
And in regard to David, do you have any knowledge of any previous diagnosis of a mental health issue yourself?
For myself or for David?
For David, I apologize, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
And did you ever call the police to do a welfare check on the child while in David's care?
Yes, I have.
And what were the results of those welfare checks, if you recall?
There was nothing that they could do because he wouldn't answer the door.
So they were unable to make contact at any of the times you requested?
That is correct.
Okay. And do you know his whereabouts as of today, ma'am?
No, I do not.
How long has it been since you've actually heard from him?
It's been since 2023 in October.
Okay. And if he were to reach out to Miranda, do you believe it's in the best interest that she not have contact with him unless you approve of that?
I believe that is in the best interest of Miranda, yes.
Okay. And has Miranda expressed any concerns regarding wanting to do any therapy or anything beyond today's date?
She did want therapy just one more time with Katie Klein because Jean Marie had given my dad a locket with a picture of her and Jean and then a picture of her dad in it. And Miranda was upset because she said, I don't know if I'm speaking that right. I don't want to say like she just wanted to process that because it made her feel like they act like nothing was wrong and everything they did was okay, and it hurt Miranda. So
that's okay. And you're willing to explore that therapy for her beyond today's date and get any appointments that she needs. Would you agree to that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you're asking for the department to be dismissed and you be sole managing conservator?
Yes, ma'am.
And just clarification, you understand that termination of Mr. Veldhuis would result in no requirement of him possibly to support this child if the court doesn't order that?
Yes, ma'am. I'm aware of that.
Okay. How much do you make, ma'am?
I make $18 an hour.
Okay. Where do you, well, I'm not going to ask you where you work since we're on YouTube. Pass the witness, Judge.
All right, Mr. Ingram.
No questions.
All right, anything further with Ms. Kimball? All right then, Ms. Gutierrez, any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, the department rests. I'll go ahead and make my request now. We are asking that Mandy Kimball be named sole managing conservator of the child. We're asking that the parental rights of David Veldhuis be terminated on the grounds of D, E, and O. And we also ask for a finding of a material and substantial change since the rendering of the last order. And then I have a list of findings for reasonable efforts to reunify the family by the department, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
We ask for a finding that the department made reasonable efforts to reunify the family by placing the child at the home of the mother, by attempting to work services with David Veldhuis without legal intervention in a family-based safety services case, by pursuing an OTP or an order to participate that was denied, and in creating the family plan of service and offering services to address domestic violence, mental health, and substance abuse, and attempting to locate and communicate with David to engage him in services to address the reasons for removal, and attempting to engage him in services when he was located.
All right, I will make those findings.
Thank you, Your Honor, and the department.
Ms. Kincaid, any witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
Ms. Grant?
No, Your Honor, but may I make a record briefly?
Here in a minute. Mr. Ingram, any witnesses?
No witnesses.
All right. All right, everyone rest and close.
Rest and
Yes,
close.
Judge.
Okay, Ms. Grant?
Your Honor, I would just like to make a record that I was able to be in contact by letter with Mr. Veldhuis during his incarceration at Randall County. He has not maintained contact with my office prior to January when he was incarcerated, and I have not received contact from him at my office since he was released in late June. I've changed no numbers, I've changed no email addresses, and my office address has not changed since he has been released. I have reached out to all last known numbers, last known addresses, and checked social media and through the caseworker and have been unable to locate Mr. Veldhuis. But those are the efforts my office has made, Your Honor, and I would rest.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Ingram, any witnesses?
No witnesses.
All right, Mr. Ingram, recommendations.
Yes, sir. I believe it to be in the child's best interest that the father's parental rights be terminated, the mother be named as permanent sole managing conservator, and the department and all other court-ordered relationships be dismissed.
All right, thank you. All right, then, before I forget to ask, Ms. Gutierrez, has Ms. Galvan been provided with all of the exhibits that were admitted today?
I believe she says no. I thought I included her, Your Honor. I apologize for that. Let me go in and I can send those right now.
Okay, yeah, just go ahead and get that done then. Okay, thank you. All right, then, based on first of all, I do find that there have been material and substantial changes in the child's circumstances since the last suit affecting parent-child relationship order was entered. Based upon that, I do find that it's in the best interest of Miranda that I name Mandy Campbell the sole permanent managing conservator. I further find that it's in the best interest of the child, Miranda, that I terminate the rights of David Veldhuis, the biological father. I'll terminate those rights today based on Texas Family Code Section 161.001, subsections B, 1D, E, and O. I will dismiss the department and all other court-appointed relationships after all appellate and de novo periods have expired. Ms. Grant, if you have contact with your client, I would instruct you to advise him of his appellate and de novo rights.
Yes, Judge.
All right, since we have a final resolution in this case, there won't be any further hearings set. Ms. Kimball, I'm sure you're happy not to have to see me anymore. So,
Thank you.
That having been said, we'll stand in recess. And for those of you involved, I'll be back at 1 o'clock.